Time for Media Watch next on the program. Emma James, good evening. Starting with that story, Aretha Franklin's funeral service saying goodbye to a legend, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. The undisputed Queen of Soul, and her funeral has been a fitting send-off packed with the emotion and power that we got from her voice and from her music. Now, it's scheduled to last some 5.5 hours. At the moment, they're around, well, they're well over 2 hours behind schedule. And lots of people really have spoken about the fact that they don't imagine this is going to be in any way keeping to the allotted time slots. This gentleman, Panama Jackson, writing in The Root, has warned us we should all settle in for the long haul because you don't get to be the Queen, he says, if your legacy ends when you expire. Every accolade and celebration at her homegoing will be warranted and necessary. Now, he says he's not being facetious, he thinks it will last around 12 hours.
And also, I saw in the program that Bill Clinton had been allotted some 5 minutes. Bill Clinton, we all know, is a talker. He loves talking.
Absolutely. And at the end, he actually played Aretha Franklin's song Think on his mobile phone into the microphone. So he will have used up some extra time as well, as many people have, and nobody really minds at all because it is a monumental occasion.
Exactly.
Absolutely, very much a celebration of her life and everything that she had to offer. This person tweeting, I hope when I die I'm worthy of even a fraction of what's happening at Aretha Franklin's funeral, and that is the full list of what is going to be happening, speakers, singers and the like. I don't think many of us can expect to get anything like that kind of presence or that kind of treatment. There have been all sorts of people tweeting today. We're using the hashtag Aretha Homegoing. There's an ongoing commentary online talking about, obviously, people following the live coverage. Other tributes that have been paid. More than 130 Cadillacs actually turned up in Detroit today. Pink Cadillacs, I should clarify,
yeah, I saw that.
because they were joining the funeral procession because of her song Freeway of Love, in which she talks about or sings about a pink Cadillac. It has nothing to do with the song of the same title. And what's interesting to note is that some people, this was bought especially for the occasion. It has Aretha written on the front. It was bought by a 72-year-old fan just so that he could come along to today's event in a pink Cadillac. This woman saying well done to Cadillac and the Detroit Free Press, because Cadillac actually placed a full-page advert in the newspaper today on the back page, just with her date of birth and date of death. And really, the Detroit Free Press is the place to go if you want to see everything reported about Aretha Franklin. Lots and lots of stories, including some interesting ones about what she has been dressed in during this week, because she's had four
changes.
Costume changes. Yes, including rose gold sequined Christian Louboutin shoes. She is dressed in gold for her funeral to match her funeral casket, and people saying that that really befits her status as the Queen of Soul. Looking elsewhere, well, this was a tribute outside of the United States, and a very unusual one. The guards at Buckingham Palace, who do changing of the guard every day. It's something that all the tourists like to go and see. They did something a little different today in tribute to Aretha Franklin. Take a look at this clip. So that was today's changing of the guard.
That's
very
amazing.
Different to the usual kind of sombre affair that you see.
Is that typical, or is that a brick with tradition?
That is it. I'm not sure that it's unprecedented. I wouldn't go that far, but it certainly is unusual. Of course, we've seen things like it here in France. Bastille Day, we had the National Guard playing Daft Punk songs in celebration. Now, some people on Twitter asking whether or not this was actually a request from Queen Elizabeth herself, from one queen to another, says this woman. I don't think that's likely to be the case, because the British Army has tweeted, respect for others underpins all we do in the British Army, so it's no surprise that the Welsh Guards band paid tribute to the musical icon and inspiration Aretha Franklin. Now, another British icon who's been tweeting about this one, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, has tweeted a video from back in 1986, and I'd never seen this before, where they were joined by Aretha Franklin. She's performing Jumping Jack Flash. It is quite a performance and is well worth worth taking a look at if you are not familiar with that one. Now, some of the other points that, we'll just listen to a bit of Aretha for a moment. So quite a performance, I think it's fair to say, from Aretha Franklin. They're very different to Mick Jagger, himself a legend, of course, but a very different style. Now, this writer, a French writer who's written a book about Aretha Franklin called Portrait of a Natural Woman, is asking the question, of course, because she's not just a singer, an iconic performer, but she's also a hero of civil rights. And what he asks in this piece is, without Aretha Franklin demanding respect, would we have had an Obama in the White House?
Interesting point to think about. Emma James, thank you very much for that. Look at Media Watch.